There is a specific kind of silence that lives just behind a gate, a quiet that belongs only to the threshold of a home. Here, the world outside seems to lose its momentum, replaced by the steady, slow breathing of a space that asks for nothing. The light is thin and silver, catching on the grain of the wood and the soft edges of the frame. It is the beginning of a transition, a slow movement from the noise of the street into a pocket of air that feels heavier, more settled, and entirely still. One might stand here for a long time, watching the way the shadows shift by millimeters, noting how the coolness of the morning lingers in the corners where the sun has yet to reach. There is no rush to enter, no urgency to see what lies beyond the immediate view. The gate itself is a boundary between the public pulse and the private heartbeat, a physical manifestation of the choice to slow down. The air carries a faint dampness, a reminder of the night just past, and the stillness is so profound that the mere act of observing it feels like a participation in its depth. It is a moment of pure suspension, where the day has not yet begun its demands, and the domestic world remains wrapped in a gentle, undisturbed layer of peace. Every texture is softened by the early hour, every line blurred by the lack of haste, creating a scene that exists purely for the sake of existing, a quiet introduction to the sanctuary of the front yard. The path ahead is a suggestion of a journey, a short distance covered with deliberate ease. Each small stone lies exactly where it fell, forming a mosaic of gray and tan that crunches only in the imagination. The light here is fragmented, broken into 1,000 dancing shapes by the canopy above, creating a rhythm of brightness and shadow that moves with the slowest breeze. There is a profound sense of enclosure, as if the walls of the house and the edges of the greenery have conspired to create a room without a ceiling. It is a domestic intimacy, a scale that fits the human spirit without overwhelming it. The air is still, caught in the embrace of the foliage, holding the warmth of the sun and the coolness of the shade in a delicate balance. To look down this path is to understand the value of the small scale, the way a few yards of earth can contain a universe of calm. The world feels reduced to these few elements, the ground beneath, the light above, and the quiet walls that frame the view. It is a space designed for the eyes to wander without purpose, to find rest in the lack of grand gestures. The stillness is not an absence of movement but a presence of equilibrium, a state where everything is exactly as it should be, held in a quiet, domestic grace that feels both ancient and immediate. The house waits at the end, not as a destination, but as a silent witness to the beauty of the approach. Within the small circle of the basin, the entire sky finds a place to rest. The water is a perfect mirror, undisturbed by wind or movement, holding the image of the clouds and the sharp line of the eaves in a liquid embrace. It is a microcosm of the garden's stillness, a point of absolute focus where the world becomes two-dimensional and infinitely deep at the same time. The light is diffused, casting no harsh shadows but bathing the stone and the water in a consistent, pearlescent glow. There is a weight to this silence, a feeling of accumulated time that settles at the bottom of the basin like silt. The reflection of the house above links the earth to the sky, anchoring the domestic architecture in the fluid reality of the garden. It is a quiet dialogue between the permanent and the fleeting, between the heavy stone and the ephemeral reflection. Watching the surface, one becomes aware of the subtle shifts in the atmosphere, the way the light changes quality as the clouds drift overhead, yet the water remains unmoved. This is the heart of the quiet living, a refusal to be disturbed by the passing of the hours. The stillness here is a choice, a deliberate gathering of peace into a single, contained vessel. It invites a long, steady gaze, a shedding of external thoughts until only the reflection remains, clear and cool and perfectly balanced in the center of the yard. The corner of the patio is a place where time seems to pool and settle. A single pot, aged by seasons of rain and sun, sits as a quiet monument to the domestic life of the garden. The bricks beneath it are uneven, worn smooth by years of silent presence, their deep reds and oranges glowing softly in the declining light. This is the light of late afternoon, a golden infusion that stretches shadows and turns the ordinary into something luminous. There is a sense of belonging in this arrangement, a feeling that these objects have occupied this exact space for a lifetime. The air is warm and heavy, carrying the scent of sun-baked earth and the lingering memory of the day's heat. No wind reaches this nook. It is protected by the architecture of the home, a secret fold in the map of the yard. The stillness is absolute, a quietude that feels thick and tangible. It is in these small, overlooked spaces that the true character of a garden reveals itself, not in the grand displays, but in the way a shadow falls across a curved surface, or how the light catches the texture of a weathered rim. The world outside the garden walls may be turning with its usual fervor, but here, in this golden corner, there is only the slow, rhythmic pulse of a space at rest. It is a portrait of contentment, a visual sigh that signals the end of the day's labor and the beginning of the evening's long, quiet shadow. The window is the eye of the home, looking out upon the garden with a steady, unblinking gaze. From the outside, it is a dark, reflective pool, mirroring the greenery that crowds close to the glass as if trying to peer inside. The vines hang like curtains of living lace, softening the transition between the built environment and the growing world. The light here is indirect, filtered through layers of leaves, creating a cool, emerald-tinted atmosphere that feels private and secluded. There is a profound sense of intimacy in this view, a feeling of being close to the heart of the domestic sphere while remaining outdoors. The glass creates a barrier that is both visible and invisible, separating the interior life from the exterior stillness. The air is hushed, dampened by the proximity of the house walls and the thick carpet of mulch below. One can almost hear the silence of the rooms within, a quiet that complements the stillness of the garden. It is a place of observation and reflection, where the boundaries of the home expand to include the small patch of earth it stands upon. The world is reduced to this single point of contact, a quiet intersection of wood, glass, and leaf. There is no movement here, only the slow growth of the vines and the steady, grounding presence of the house, holding its place in the landscape with a quiet, unassuming dignity. The stones of the wall are knit together by time and the slow, creeping advance of moss. Each crevice is a miniature landscape, a hidden world of deep greens and soft textures that thrives in the damp, shaded microclimate of the garden's edge. The light is soft and even, the kind of light that follows a gentle rain, making every surface appear saturated and rich. There is a quiet strength in this wall, a sense of permanence that anchors the garden to the earth. It is a domestic boundary, built to hold the soil and define the space, yet it has become a living part of the environment itself. The air is cool and smells of wet stone and clean earth, a scent that speaks of renewal and steady, quiet growth. The stillness here is profound, a deep-seated calm that comes from things that do not move. There is no sound but the occasional drip of water from a leaf, a rhythmic punctuation of the silence. To look closely at the wall is to see the beauty of the incremental, the way small changes accumulate over years to create a sense of depth and character. It is a reminder that the most significant things in a garden often happen at a pace that is nearly invisible to the eye. The wall stands as a silent guardian of the yard's peace, a sturdy, textured presence that embodies the quiet, enduring spirit of a home garden. The bench sits in a state of perpetual invitation, though it remains unoccupied, a silent participant in the garden's life. It is tucked into a corner where the light plays in shifting patterns across the slats, a constant motion of shadow and brightness that never breaks the overall sense of calm. The tree above provides a ceiling of leaves, creating a sheltered alcove that feels like a room within the yard. There is a specific kind of stillness here, the stillness of a place intended for rest. The air is light and clear, carrying the soft rustle of the leaves as they move in a breeze that is felt but not seen. The bench, with its weathered finish and simple lines, belongs to the space in a way that feels organic, as if it grew from the ground along with the tree. It is a focal point for the eye, a place where the gaze can settle and find a moment of repose. The domesticity of the scene is palpable, a reminder of the quiet rituals that define a life lived close to the earth. There is no need for action here, no requirement for anything other than being. The shadows stretch long across the grass, marking the passage of time with a slow, graceful sweep that reinforces the garden's rhythm. It is a corner of the world where the pace of life is dictated by the sun and the seasons, a small sanctuary of stillness and light. As the day fades, the garden enters a period of transformation, the colors deepening into shades of indigo and slate. The porch light has not yet been lit, but its form is a familiar silhouette against the pale siding of the house. The light of the blue hour is pervasive, a soft, heavy glow that seems to emanate from the air itself. There is a profound quiet in this transition, a moment when the garden holds its breath between the activity of the day and the stillness of the night. The textures of the homemade grain of the wood, the smoothness of the glass, the sharpness of the edge become more pronounced in the failing light. It is a time of gathering in, of the home becoming a more defined presence against the softening landscape. The air is turning cool, a crispness that suggests the coming dark. The stillness is no longer just a lack of sound but a physical weight, a settling of the atmosphere into a state of deep domestic rest. Everything feels closer, more intimate, as the horizons of the yard shrink in the twilight. The house stands as a beacon of stability, its familiar forms providing a sense of security in the shifting light. It is a scene of quiet transition, a visual lullaby that prepares the garden and the home for the long, silent hours of the night, held in the cool, blue embrace of the evening. In the permanent shade of the porch, the ferns unfurl with a delicate geometric precision. Their fronds are a vibrant, cool green, standing out against the muted tones of the shadows. The light here is soft and indirect, a gentle illumination that highlights the intricate textures of the leaves without overwhelming them. There is a sense of lushness in this small corner, a pocket of growth that thrives in the quiet, damp environment close to the house. The air is still and holds a pleasant coolness, protected from the direct heat of the sun by the overhang of the roof. This is a space of quiet persistence, where the rhythm of growth is slow and steady. The ferns sway almost imperceptibly, moved by currents of air that are too faint to be called a breeze. The domestic scale of the scene is emphasized by the proximity of the porch steps and the siding of the house, creating a sense of a curated, well-loved space. It is a quiet celebration of the small and the shaded, a reminder that beauty often resides in the corners that are not immediately obvious. The stillness is a living thing here, woven into the very structure of the plants and the cool, shadowed air they inhabit. It is a moment of pure, green peace, a visual breath of fresh air that centers the spirit and calms the mind. The entire garden is bathed in the long, hazy light of the setting sun, a soft radiance that blurs the edges of the world and turns the yard into a dreamscape of gold and shadow. From this perspective, the intimacy of the space is fully realized the way the fence, the path, and the house come together to form a single, harmonious whole. It is a small world, complete and self-contained, a domestic landscape that offers a profound sense of belonging. The light catches the tops of the plants and the roof of the house, creating a layer of warmth that sits atop the cooling air. The stillness is vast, filling the yard from the ground to the sky, a quiet that feels both expansive and deeply personal. As the sun dips below the horizon, the colors shift and deepen, a final flourish before the gray of twilight takes over. There is a feeling of completion in this view, a sense that the garden has finished its work for the day and is now settling into a well-earned rest. The house stands as the anchor of the scene, its windows reflecting the last of the light, a silent partner in the garden's quiet life. It is a portrait of a home and its land in perfect equilibrium, a final, lingering look at a space where quiet living is not just a concept, but a lived, felt reality. The day ends as it began, in a state of absolute domestic peace.